Hi, since I started doing videos, we might as well just continue with a second one today. So I thought that it might be kind of fun to share with you an alternative way to make this fun little happy red bird. So I make these all the time. People love them. They're just funny. They're inspiring, and they make me smile. So I actually have this really big one that hangs on my wall in my office cube in my office, and I put little sayings on them. This one's kind of a sarcastic little saying. I think it says, "I can hardly wait to regret this." You can see it. And but you can definitely make, I have a book of these, so I have a whole bunch of different funny sayings. But you can make your own saying. You can print something out on the computer. You can get a piece of white paper and you can handwrite it with a pen or a Sharpie. But don't use the eyeliner pen to write with, as we found out it bleeds. So you need to, Sharpies do not bleed, they're waterproof. So Sharpie would be fine, computer, print it out, say something inspirational, say something funny, whatever makes you happy. So anyway, this is the project we're going to do today. So I'm going to turn the camera down to the table and show you the supplies that I've picked up. Okay, so this is done on an actual canvas. It's an 8x8, and then this top piece here is a canvas board. So these of course are in Artist Supplies. The canvas boards you can get at the dollar store, but probably not this size. And you know what, they might have canvas for all I know, but I doubt it. So we're going to use just some really simple, inexpensive supplies that I am going to choose as an alternative. So I'm going to set this aside so that I don't get anything on it. So I have chosen, I went out to the garage and found a cardboard box. This one's kind of bent, but I think it should be fine. I cut an 8x8 square, and I cut a 6x6 square so that it can fit on top of it. My cutting skills aren't perfect. I used an X-Acto knife. Again, if you're a kid, ask your parents, see if they can do it for you, and then you'll be able to move forward with this. But I don't want you to hurt yourself. So again, this is a 6x6. And this one was an 8x8. So those are the sizes. You don't have to use these sizes. These are the sizes that I choose because that's what my canvases are. So, and again, if you don't actually have an old box or cardboard, look and see if you have like a cereal box, or you have a box with crackers, you know, something that you can have a bigger piece of cardboard of some kind on the back and a smaller one on the front. Okay, so kind of look around for that. I tore out some pages again from an old book. So these we'll be using. I grabbed either, for the back piece, if you don't have black paint but you have black paper, it doesn't even have to be black, so just know that. I'm just giving you a recommendation. If you have purple paper, use that if you would rather. It doesn't have to be black. But I have both. I have black cardstock, and I just have a thing of black craft paint. So you can decide how you want to color this piece. So we might, for the sake of quickness to this video, use the cardstock, but I haven't decided yet. So you'll want those. Again, I have these old like iTunes cards. These aren't really a necessity. It just can be really helpful. You can find an old deck of cards and maybe tape them together if you don't have something like this. But you know, our parents always seem to get fake credit cards in the mail. I save them because they're useful for art. So if you have something like this laying around, that's great. If not, you know what, you can just use your fingers. And depending on if you have, again, craft paint, I am going to use red. So you could also, from what I experimented with, crayons will work just fine. So if you have crayons, that'll work. And again, I do have white craft paint as well. So I'm going to mix my, my glue with a little bit of white paint when I put my paper on. Again, not necessary. If you only have glue, then just use your glue. And again, I have a pencil, and I will use my little eyeliner pen, and I will probably use my eyeshadow. So if you don't have either of these, no worries. I think you can accomplish most of what I would do with these with just a pencil, but you know, you just have to practice and see. You may not get the exact same results, but you know what? It's not a big deal, and I would not stress or worry about it or feel that your piece of art is anything less important than the one we're going to do here. I also have a Sharpie, so just a bigger Sharpie, and I don't know that I'll need a ballpoint pen, but I have that handy. The other thing too is you'll want some paintbrushes and some water. So the glue could very well, you want to make sure that when you're in the middle of using your glue and you don't want to just set your brush down just on the table, because it will dry out probably. The glue dried really quickly today, but again, I'm in Arizona, we have very low humidity, so things do dry faster here. But in between using my glue, I do put it in water. So with that, because I use water, I have just an old cloth. This is an old, it's actually an old napkin, cloth napkin, but ask your parents or look around your house, see if you have an old ragged dust towel, kitchen towel, something that they will let you mess up and use. I have dish towels, or this is an old probably bathroom towel, and I use it over and over and over and over again. So you know, find one, keep it handy, because they're very helpful. You should not necessarily need scissors, I don't think, but if you have some, you might put them by your little art area just in case. I can't see that we need these, but I always have them. Okay, so feel free to pause this video and go and gather up some supplies, and then come on back and we'll get started. So I think I will do, like I said, just for the case of the video, so we don't have to wait for a lot of drying time. I am going to use this cardstock, but I'm gonna glue the cardstock down to my 8x8, and again, I cut this at 8x8. My edges are not going to be perfect, and I'm going to see the brown. If that bothers you, then you can, and you do have black paint, you can touch up the edges with the black paint. So I think that that's probably what I'll do. Again, the cardboard doesn't bother me. It depends on the look that you're going for. And, you know, this piece is not a super duper masterpiece. It's just a, it's a mixed media collage, and this style is kind of the grunge style. So seeing this on the edges would really kind of fit in with that. So again, it's totally 100% a personal choice. So I'm just going to take my glue, and I'm going, open it. I'm just going to put some on here. I do want it to get to the edges as much as possible. It's not as much as it looks like. Well, it might be. I use a lot of glue, so. Okay. Just going to put that down. You know, like, yeah, it's kind of a lot of glue because it's squishing out over the edges. But again, I use a lot of glue, so, you know, I'm an overuser. I waste paint and everything. So I'm just going to use this. It's not probably even really necessary, just to make sure I don't have any bubbles under there. Cardstock generally doesn't bubble, but, you know, sometimes it does. And I got glue on here too. but that's probably not a big deal. So anyway, yeah, so you can see a few little ridges in there, you know, just flatten them down. We're just going to set this aside. Again, if this is a project that you like and you want to do it again, and you did it this way with cardstock and cardboard, you know what? Go back and do it again with paint and see if you get a different result. So, you know, just because you did it once doesn't mean you can't do it again. Okay, so I'm going to set this piece aside, and I'm going to get my 6x6. Again, my piece of cardboard is bent. I decided that I was going to go ahead and go with that because not everything is going to be, you know, a perfect piece of supply. So I think that because I'm going to glue this down onto my black piece, then I think that that will be all right. I am going to, though, this side has the bend in the cut, which is the back side, so I'm going to use this side. So what I'm going to do is just, and this is in no special way, just going to tear up some pages. Cut big pieces, small pieces. You could do 4 pieces or you could do 100 pieces, whatever you want to do. I think that should be enough to cover it. If not, I have more sitting on the side, so I could definitely go and tear up some more if I need to. So what I personally am going to do is I'm going to, when I glue my pages down, I'm going to leave an edge so that I can fold it over. So that's, yeah, so that it finishes off this edge versus having the cardboard on here. So if you like that idea, then just keep enough that you'll be able to fold it over easily, and you're going to glue that as well. Okay, so I'm going to start first by just gluing down the bottom piece, and then I did say that I was going to add a little bit of white paint to it, so I might do that afterwards. So you're just going to put the glue down on your cardboard and then just kind of push it down, make sure that your paper is all sticking, and then just do a really light brush. Don't do a lot because your paper could bubble. If it does bubble, don't worry about it. You know, it provides texture. So I get bubbles all the time in my paper. And you know, I like my words to go in different directions. You may or may not like that idea, but definitely, you know, it's not I'm not doing it to make it look like, you know, book text. I just want it to be a nice little background for my page. This is still a little wet, so I'm going to set this aside. We can move on to another step while we wait. So let me get my other one back out. So again, I put what you call almost like, it's a collage, but kind of an embellishment look. So these are cut out of a different color paper. They're a little bit darker. But if you don't have darker paper, it's not a big deal. This is white paper, so it kind of stands out against your background. You can pick and choose how you want to do it. If you want to cut a flower out of a magazine and put it on top of there, go for it. But I am just going to use the same book text just because I did not plan for a different color paper. I forgot. So I'm going to go with it and see what kind of effect I can get out of it. So again, I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to take this, and I'm kind of looking at this to see what size circles I might want. You can hand draw them. You can find something and trace around them. So I guess we are going to use our pen and just cut, you know, draw some circles. I'll use, oops, that wasn't a very good circle, was it? I'm going to cut around it, so I guess that's okay. Oh, and my stuff is falling down. So I'm going to make a couple different sizes. And maybe I'll also do a heart like I did on the other one. So I'm just going to draw a heart. Doesn't have to be a beautiful heart. And maybe I will do one more that is just a little circle. So there we go, and we're going to go ahead and cut these out. Okay, so I like to add borders to all of my stuff. So you can do this with anything that you might have that you can draw with. You can again use Sharpies. You could use your ballpoint pen. Your pencil will probably bleed if you do a wash over it, so kind of keep that in mind. I'm not positive. I don't generally use pencils much and then collage over them. But I have a couple different size Sharpies. It's not really, let's see. We'll see if that one works. Some of my Sharpies have dried up, so we'll try that one. Okay. So again, I do like to draw designs around them if it's kind of a Zentangle idea. These are not perfect drawings or perfect circles, and they're not meant to be. So again, just kind of watch along and see what kind of designs you might want to come up with. You don't have to do the same designs I'm doing, but at least it'll give you a little bit of an idea. So just do another circle on the inside. And maybe this one, I want this tree to have just all sorts of lines. So just do little lines all the way around. And I think I'm going to probably do a couple videos on Zentangle. I think Zentangle is really fun. I used to do it all the time, and Zentangle is kind of the same design that they have in the adult coloring books, if you've seen those. And most of that is done with, honestly, with just Sharpies. So there's one, and you can decide how you want your book text to go. It can go sideways, this way, whichever way you want it to go. I like to write fun words inside. This one's a little bit bigger, so I think I'll put the word laugh in there. Yeah, so I like that. And then this one, again, I'll just do another circle. I think this one, I might jump to my bigger Sharpie wherever I put it. It's over here, and we'll make thicker lines with this one. Make them a little farther apart. And then you could put a design in the middle of them. You could just put like little dots or something. You can make circles, you can paint them, you can color them, whatever you might want to do. So there's that one, and we'll put a word. I need to get something too hard to put under my stuff because I'm not able to write on my tablecloth. So on my table, just you know, just as an idea, I get just plastic tablecloths, and they wipe down pretty easy, or you know, you fold them up, put them away, and you can use them again, and it doesn't matter. As you can see, my table is pretty dirty. I get paint on it all the time, but it's not ruining my furniture. So let's see. So this one, let's put the word maybe hope, I guess, would be a nice word. It's kind of an inspiring word. And then I think for this heart, I cut a little bit of paper on the outside of my drawing, so I think I'm going to leave this one alone, and I'm going to do shading on that one. And this one, probably the same thing. Maybe I'll just put a couple little squiggle lines in it, and that will be a little circle for that one. Okay, so there's our circles. And again, feel free, pause your video, get your stuff cut out, and then join back in when you're ready. So that's the benefit of doing this online with a video. You can always pause in the middle. So the next thing is that, well, we waited for this to dry, but yet now we're going to get it wet again. So just kind of look for some placement of where you might want to put these. So again, here's kind of the idea is these are kind of like trees, and I draw tree stumps down them. So I want them kind of far apart, and I'm also going to try to fit my birds in. And if you want to put a saying on there, you know, you might want to leave space for that. You may not want that. And if you don't, then don't put it on. Probably won't put it on this one because unless I go look for one. So if I pause my video, I might go find one. Okay, so again, getting my glue. In the middle of using your glue, make sure you close your lid too, just so that you know, don't get a clog or something. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue down. I'm going to brush it down and across, and then do the same thing with this and put the glue on top of it. And maybe this one we'll put maybe right here. Looks like a good place. I think I'll put my heart over here. And maybe we'll have this little one over here. Okay, everything looks like it's gonna set pretty good, and now this needs to dry again. So once it dries, we'll move on. Okay, so while this was drying, I decided, yes, I'm going to put some words on. So I just went to a magazine, and I found a little saying that I thought was cute. It says, "Stand by those you love." And so I just cut it out. And so while this, because this can dry while we move on. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on as well. Okay, so that can dry. And again, I'm going to close my glue, and I'm going to clean the top off so that it doesn't clog. Okay, so here we go. So, oh, that one's not quite dry. So the next thing is I'm going to put my tree stumps on. Moving some stuff around so I can sit. I like to stand, but I think I'm going to sit down now. And I am going to use my Sharpies for this because we found out this bled. I might use something like this afterwards if I want to go over it again, but it's definitely not necessary, but we'll see. Okay, so again, if your glue is wet still, definitely make sure it dries, because you will your Sharpies will quit working. So if you have Sharpies that you want to last while you do this, then make sure your stuff is dry. You can make these thin, you can make them thick. I put designs in my tree trunks, so I always go on a little bit bigger side. And this one, maybe we'll do this one a little smaller. Okay, so You can decide if you have white paint, if you want to paint them. So I'll paint a couple and then I'll leave a couple unpainted for those that might not have white paint, so you can see kind of the difference. It's not a lot of paint that you need. We can also see if there's crayons that will work. I don't know if there's a white crayon in there, but can definitely give that a shot as well. I will say I did not try putting water or glue over the paint, but I think we're done with the glue, so I don't think that that should interfere with anything. So let's see if we have a right crayon. I don't know. Oh, there is. Yeah, the white doesn't really show up well, so probably not worth trying the white. I think I'll go back to the paint. I'm to remember to keep talking to you guys as I do this. I'm a very quiet artist, and even when I'm with people, I'm just the quietest artist unless I'm in a conversation, but I forget to talk. So this is, again, newer for me to do this in a teaching setting on a camera when there's nobody in the room with me, except for my dog. Okay, so we'll just paint these two, and then I'll leave the other two as they are. I have this little dryer. It's actually a heat tool for embossing, for stamping, but I also used to use just a hair dryer. So just dry these really quick. Only should take a minute. Okay, so we won't do those ones first. So the other thing, now I'm going to add some designs in my tree trunks. So again, this is kind of the Zentangle process. If you Pinterest or go on Google and look at images for Zentangle, and it's Zentangle, you'll see all sorts of designs, and really this is how it starts out, is just doing black lines and making designs within your shape. So it's actually really fun, and when you really get into it, you can spend hours doing it. I'll show you in another video some of the ones that I've done, and I've spent many hours doing it. Okay, so this one, maybe we'll just do some circles. See if those are dry. They seem dry. Let's put some lines in there. Maybe this one, let's make big lines. Not quite dry. Probably going to ruin this Sharpie, but I guess I have more. If you think you might have ruined your Sharpie and got paint or something on it, just take like another piece of paper and just try to get it off. Good thing they're at the dollar store, and they're only $1. Okay, so we're going to try a couple different ideas on shading. So you can see on here that the trees don't really, I mean, they stand out, you can see them, but I think that shading them and adding some depth perception to them is pretty fun. So so if you just take your pencil and kind of color around it, and then use your finger and kind of smudge it, you can see that you're going to get, this is kind of the look that I use with charcoal pencils. And it's just a look that I personally like. If you don't like it, you definitely don't have to do this. But that is kind of the grunge style. that I look for in doing something like this. So I got a little extra pencil on that side, but you know what? It doesn't bother me. I'm good with that. I don't care. But you'll see now the heart stands out a little bit more. So now, since we're testing different products, I'm going to try the eyeshadow. I'm going to see what the black does, like around. Oh yeah, the black does really well. I was surprised to find black eyeshadow, I guess. So that works really well. I like that a lot. That gives it a really nice definition. And let's try, I don't know what a black crayon might do. I'm going to do it on the little one because it might not really do a whole lot, but you never know. I don't think you're going to get the smudging effect, but crayons are kind of that way. So, I mean, I guess it pretty much looks the same. So you could do any of the above. I think if I was going to pick, then I would use the eyeshadow because I like how this goes on. That would be my first choice. And then I just kind of rub it around. Again, that's the look I'm looking for, is for it to be kind of a smudgy look. So I think this one's dry. So I am going to also go around my little words that I added. Get that definition in there. So see, they stand out quite a bit when you do that. Okay, so as I mentioned that the, I painted these, so the line variations kind of went away. So I'm going to go back over those just to kind of give them a little bit darker look, just on these two. That's because I did it when my paint wasn't dry, or I painted after I did this. There. Okay, so that I'm happy with. The next thing we will do is we will paint our birds. So again, I'll do it a couple different ways. I'll use a crayon for one, and I'll use red paint for the other. If you are more, I don't know how well erasing on this would be with having glue on the top, but I'm going to hand draw my birds, so you can definitely find yourself a circle and draw them. They're half circles is what I personally do. So I'm just going to draw them on. There doesn't have to be a perfect half circle. And then I give them little hats, and I give them beaks. Kind of forgot about the beaks. With these, you can, if you have red construction paper or tissue paper or something like that, you could cut your birds out and then do the same thing and collage them on. If that's a technique that you want to do, then I would do that before you do your shading, so that you don't get your glue in your powders if that's what you used. Okay, let's see. I think I will put another bird up here because that looks like a good space for a bird. And they're not perfect circles or anything like that, so that seems like that's okay with me. So I'm gonna try using a crayon up here and see. Yeah, see that the crayon works really well on this paper with the glue. I wasn't really even sure how well that would do until I tested it this morning. Got up this morning, didn't realize it was Saturday, and got up at my normal 4 o'clock in the morning. We're all working remotely at home right now with the coronavirus. Our company is awesome, and they've sent us all home remotely to work from home, and I just thought today was a work day, and it was not. So I decided to make a video instead. I don't know if the yellow will show up. We'll try it. Oh yeah, yellow does good. Yellow will be great for the beaks. I'm going to use yellow over here too. Okay, so that's good. I do have red paint, so like I said, I will do one with paint and one with crayon so you can see the difference in, oh, that's not really red. Well, it's close enough, I guess. It's not red, but, or it is, but it's a weird red. It's kind of pink. Probably can't tell that it's pink, but it is. But like I said, you know what? If you don't want to do red birds and you want them blue, make them blue or purple or green or whatever you want. Or if you don't want to even do birds, you can do a dog, a cat, a giraffe. You can put whatever you want on it. I just like the birds. Okay, there we go. Oh, paint on my fingers. I'm a very messy artist. I did forget to say, if you're messy, put an art shirt on. I need art shirts. Okay, so I did not like the white crayon. It did not work well for this, so you can't see it. So if you don't have white paint again, you can cut their little hats, or you don't even have to use white, but I like the white. You can cut it out of just copy paper, you know, printer paper, or another book, or whatever you want to make their hats. So, but I'm going to go ahead and paint it since I have my white paint out. And then of course we have to let them dry a little bit while we do this since I'm painting. Wish the white crayon showed up, that would have been really nice. Okay, so there's their little hats. We'll let that dry. Oh, and while I have this out, actually, one of the things I do, this little trick to get perfect little dots, if you have kind of the smaller edge of a paintbrush, I just dip that into my paint so it gets it on there, and then you can just put a dot and a dot for their little eyeballs. Okay, so that will dry a little bit. And then I think I will use my little Sharpie. I always give my birds funny little legs. They're just little stick legs. And just little triangle feet. And this little guy up here, he's kind of going to be standing in the tree. So his feet will go just kind of up there. And once these dry, I'm going to go back and outline them so the birds stand out as well. Okay, so the next thing I like to put on here is a border. So I generally do, I actually have an acrylic stamp that I do this with, but we're not using stamps because some people probably don't have them. I honestly lost my stamp and I couldn't find it, so I just got it in the mail today. I had to order it online. But I do like borders. I think the borders are super cute. So I'm just going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to draw a border. And I'm not worried about if it's perfectly even. I don't use a ruler or anything like that. That's just kind of the look that I personally like. I don't care if things are perfectly straight or not. And then I think I'll just make little boxes. Yeah, I think I kind of ruined my Sharpie. It's not very dark, so I think I'll do this and then probably use the black crayon to color it in, because this definitely probably won't color well. Okay. Oh, there, we'll do that one too. And if you don't like the boxes, you can do anything. You can make them just lines. You don't even have to put it on there, but I think it looks pretty cute. So I need to find, here's my black crayon. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to color just like every other box. I'm not meticulous on making sure that it's like perfectly filled in. Again, that kind of goes with what I call the grunge look. You could also do this with your eyeshadow if you have that, and shade it in that way. Okay, so I kind of did that fast forward so that you didn't have to watch me color every square. And if you noticed, I did go around and I highlighted my birds and their hats. I gave this little bird a circle on top of his hat and I colored that in red. I have red Sharpies, so this pin actually isn't a Sharpie, but it did the same thing when I did it yesterday. This is kind of a paintbrush pen, but the red Sharpie would do exactly the same thing. So I went ahead and grabbed that because it was right there. And you know, you can do whatever you want with these. You can add the yellow. Yep, it does show up. So put a little yellow line in between their red lines. And if your little white dots are dark enough, I don't think mine are, but if yours are, like I'm going to use the little paint eyeliner, and I'm going to give my birds a little eyeball in there as well. So yeah, I think that worked pretty good. The other thing that I do on a normal basis when I create these for my art shows is I do like to add a little bit of shading around the edges as well. Again, it just kind of gives it a little bit of a finished look. If you like that look, then go for it. So it kind of takes that white starkness off, and when we put it on the blackboard, then it just, I don't know, I like it. So if you have chalk, you could also use chalk for this. That should work. I forget that a lot of people may actually have chalk in their supplies. People use chalkboards, or if you're an adult and you have kids who have sidewalk chalk, then you probably have chalk in your stash. Or if you're a kid who's following along with me, you know, that just might be something that you have. So there. So I'm pretty happy with how that worked. So the next thing that we would do is, again, here's our black piece of paper. Mine does have a little bit of wrinkles, but I'm not really too concerned about that. And the next thing we would do is just attach it to here. Again, if you painted your board versus putting paper on the top, make sure it's dry. And if you did use paper and you want to paint these, I'm not going to paint them today just for the sake of trying to finish up our video. But, you know, I might go back and off camera and just add a little paint to the side. But I think I kind of like that. So I'm not going to, I probably won't worry too much about it. So the next thing you would do is just, I have, it's a craft glue, and I do get it at Walmart. It's called, I think I might have showed it on another video, but it's called Quick Grip. And it's a very fast drying craft glue. So I buy them, I buy 6 little bottles of it at a time. I use it like for tons and tons of my crafts. You know, this should be fine. I'm just going to use the glue that we have, and I'm going to put it on here. Try not to put too much to where it squeezes off the side, but I'm going to put enough to where it will stick. That looks more on camera than it really is on my board. But I think I might need to smear some of this around because I don't want it to bleed out of my edges. If you're very meticulous, you can definitely measure this out. Even on the ones that I sell in my art booths, I just eyeball it and call it good. So there we go. There is one of our first art projects. So the other thing though that I forgot to mention is I used to never sign my art. I don't know why, but I did not. And that was years. I did not put my signature on my art. And when I moved to Arizona and somebody saw some of my artwork and they asked me to paint them something, so I did. And she got it, and it was a big painting. It was like a 40 by 30 size canvas. And she's like, "Where is your signature?" And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't sign it." And she's like, "You didn't sign it? You have to sign it." Like, I never sign my art. Anyway, they convinced me to sign it, and I felt so proud to put my name on a piece of art. So I am encouraging anybody who's participating in this to sign your piece of art. Just put your name on it. You can write your first name, your last name, just your initials. You can put whatever you want to put. You can put the date on it if you want to, but I encourage everybody to get in the habit of signing your artwork so that you can be proud of that. So I'm just going to put my name. I just sign with my first name. Just in that corner. I kind of like that space. If you want to date your artwork, you could put your name on the back and put the date. I don't even know what today is. I think it's the 21st. So 3/21/2020. And I call these are my Red Bird series. There we go. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it was fun for you. Again, you know, you don't have to do birds. You don't have to do trees. If you want to do mountains and cactuses, or if you, well, I live in Arizona, so that makes sense to me. Or you want to do an ocean with a boat, or you want to do a spaceship and stars. You know what? Make the art the way that you want it to make this, want it to be. This is more just a technique of how to do something. So, and using supplies that are very low cost, basically free, and just something to keep you busy. I think this probably maybe took us an hour. I don't know how long. I stopped my video a couple times in between, so I'm not really sure how long the whole video is until I put it together and get it up on YouTube. So again, thank you so much for joining, and if you have any comments or questions, or you want to have an idea that you think would be fun for us to try together, let me know. Give me a shout out. And, you know, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you would get, I think, notifications if I post new videos. I'm going to post a couple of them today. And on this, you could put a couple holes in it and put a string on it, hang it on your wall. This would actually be like a really cute little piece of art to like put in your kitchen or a guest room. If you're a kid following me and you've made this, and get your mom to hang it in the living room as a piece of masterpiece that you just made for her. You can give it as a gift to somebody that you love or a friend in this time right now where everybody's in fear and scared and at home. You know, if you have elderly neighbors that you really like, you know, you can make them a little gift and send them a little piece of sunshine by making them something special. So, you know, you can do it anonymously. You can you know, wrap this in tissue paper, put a bow around it, and put them on their front door, ring the doorbell and run, or you can hand it to them proudly. So anyway, again, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed it. So we'll see you again in the next video.